Boom, we are live. Awesome, guys. Thank you guys for so much for joining us. My name is Landon Moore, and my co-host Daniela Devine and I are honored to have Spencer Davis, a friend of mine that I met at our local gym. But he is so much more than just that. He's an amazing person, amazing father, amazing husband, but also a successful, thriving business owner of multiple businesses, which is an interesting story and background of where he started. Very similar to a lot of people. Like they get into real estate and transition and make their way through the water and figure out their path. And so I'm super honored to have you, Spencer, and to be able to kind of just talk about your life story and where it's at right now and what you're doing and where you're going and all the things. So thank you for joining us.
Dude, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Daniela, nice to meet you. Good to get connected, Landon. Been loving watching you. I remember we were chatting at the gym and you're like, I'm going in on content. And you've just been sending it. And I've loved watching from the outside, being like, let's go, bro, because you're crushing it. Love seeing the value add stuff. Like you guys are doing great work. So I'm excited to be a part of it. It's a privilege and honor to be here. Excited to chop it up.
Dude, it's so cool, man. Like you inspired me to do that, honestly. Like I don't think a lot of people know that, and pushed me in that direction to realize the value of social media and the value of content creation and all the things. So like it's tough, dude. I mean, I just got an editor for a lot of my short form like reel stuff. So you're going to see a lot of consistency on that level of things, you know? And I mean, 2 years ago, I didn't have an Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or anything. And now I have Instagram. We have a friggin' podcast. We have posting a video on YouTube. It's just wild thinking about from where I grew up and what I'm doing. Like pretty crazy, man. So thank you for the push and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny. I have a love-hate relationship with it because it's the world we live in, right? It's like, it's the times like if you want to get the word out and you have value to add, this is the world we live in, and putting it out on socials is part of the game. And it can be such a valuable tool if you're using it. The one thing that I always advise is like, be careful that you're not allowing it to use you, because it is a black hole, or it can be a black hole and can be super toxic. But as long as you look at it like a business tool that you're going to use to leverage to spread positivity and network and build a relationship and find opportunity, like, I mean, it's the world we live in. It's a necessity, right? But yeah, man, I love it. I mean, I've loved seeing you come around and obviously crushing it. So super.
I appreciate it, man. Well, way cool, dude. Well, yeah, just for the viewers here, I guess, share a little bit of background. And it kind of took me by surprise. I didn't know this about you. It was really cool to kind of read the synopsis prior to this episode with you. Is your real estate background was kind of where it all kind of got started.
Yeah. So pull it back. Essentially, went to my undergraduate at Arizona State University. My family none of us had gone to college. My pops was like, hey, you got to go get your degree. It's like what you do, boomer. It's like, that's what you need to be successful. So
that was the ceiling. Was that the ceiling in your, okay.
Got to go there. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get my undergraduate degree, WP Carey School of Business. And I was getting my business management degree. And my family's from real estate background. So my mom was VP of First American Title in Northern Arizona for a while. My dad was a real estate developer, contractor. So literally from the time I was a little kid, growing up, picking up trash on job sites, staking properties, seeing deals close, development work. So I always kind of just assumed I would go into the real estate field just because that's what I was familiar. Like I understood transactions and contracts and things at a young age. So naturally, when I turned 18, I got my real estate license and started pursuing real estate. Back in 2007 was when I was getting licensed. The market was obviously crazy. My dad was like, just get your foot in the door with either a builder or developer, somewhere to get started. And so the market was kind of right at the tipping point, and I got a glorified intern kind of receptionist job at like, I think I was 20 years old, 19 years old. It was like, I was super young, and they're like, yeah, we can basically have you greet people and hand waters to guests, but that's all you're going to do. And I was like, hey, whatever it takes, like just get me in, give me an opportunity. And so I got in as a receptionist on weekends as a college student. And long story long, started basically just like working at the project, and we got secret shopped by an investment group that was buying the property from the original developer. They came in with hidden video cameras, and they shopped the entire sales team. So the salespeople, the broker, the entire team, including myself, and they had me go give a tour, and I was licensed, so I could. So give the tour, pitch the whole deal, and they basically, they let everyone go and gave me the entire listing to sell 64 remaining luxury condos in Tempe, right on Tempe Town Lake, Rio Salado. It was a Sunset development, blue glass buildings, and essentially said, hey, like, we really like you. We want you to stay on and sell the project. So that kind of got me started selling luxury condos. So did that for a couple of years on site, managed the sales team, worked with the new acquirer of basically went bankrupt and sold the building out, and sat on site for better part of 4 years selling the remaining 64 units. And then that opened up the door for other developers. So I was kind of in the luxury condo niche. I did a Toll Brothers development, did a handful of other builder condo projects on site. And that built my book of basically condo clients, a lot of second, third homeowners from Canada or from out of the country, out of state, snowbirds. They would flip their properties, come in, get a place in Scottsdale for a couple of years, want to go somewhere else. And so the turnover was really high, which was amazing. So I got a lot of reps in and just built a really cool book of residential luxury condo clients, essentially.
Interesting.
Did that for 8 full years. Yeah.
What an interesting way to get into real estate is in the luxury condo space. You know,
especially in a city like Phoenix, where there's not a lot. We're not in New York, right? We're not.
Why are you buying? Why are you buying condos in Phoenix? That's nuts.
Yeah.
But how fascinating for you! Like, what an incredible opportunity to get an account like that, where you have all those condos to sell. Yeah,
it was such a blessing, and honestly, like my biggest thing was like get your foot in the door with a developer, because like if I can understand the development side, do whatever I needed to on the intern side, but get on the sales floor to see how the sales process worked and the team for an on-site is like it was just learning experience more than anything. And I couldn't have predicted that at a super young age to be given a listing. I was worried. I talked to the owners like, why'd you give me this job? I'm so young. And it's like, well, as long as you're competent, with competence comes confidence. And it's like, no one will care how old you are because you know the market, you know the product. And so that like will make up for any age gap or lack of, experience because you're actually competent. Right. So it was a lot of cool lessons in those early days that I've kind of applied forward as well.
Oh, I bet. Go ahead, Danielle.
So at what point do you feel like you started to work, at what point did your step in real estate start to go away and other interests started to come in? Because I know real estate's a real big gateway drug, especially for business buyers.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's low barrier to entry, right? The schooling licensing isn't difficult. Everybody needs a home. The market, is massive. The downside is everyone knows 20 realtors and everyone knows, it's like, so it was just, I got in because my family and the history there just kind of made sense. I got out kind of twofold. Is really honestly, I think I may have read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek and just got the travel itch. And I was, 25 years old, and I was like, man, I want to go live abroad and go travel the world. And so more or less, I was basically like, how do I create a machine that is digital, that I don't have to be geographically bound to generate money? How do I generate money? Because in the sales, I hadn't developed and built a team or built a real company. I was a solopreneur driving sales. I was hunting, chasing deals. I, ate what I killed and was making a lot of money, but I was always working. I was always responding to clients. I was on the phone. I was working weekends. And I was like, I want to build a machine. And it was a tipping point where it's like, I can either go all in on real estate and truly build a team and a company and do it the right way, or e-commerce was getting big at the time. This is 2015. Digital marketing, Facebook advertising was kind of coming up. This is kind of in the early stages. And I was like, there's this wave of digital commerce. I was like, if I can learn the skills of digital advertising, funnels, creating products, selling stuff online, then it's infinitely scalable because I can create information, I can create products, and I can sell them digitally, ship them all over the world. And I just saw that as a much more scalable vehicle to not only create financial wealth, but really more than anything, I was after that lifestyle optimization. I was like, how can I live abroad or live anywhere I want and generate wealth and generate a machine that works while I'm sleeping? And so went all in on studying. I basically just started from scratch, started studying, going through all sorts of courses and self-learning, and had some awesome friends that were guiding me in the right direction. And that led me to starting an e-commerce business in 2016. I moved to Thailand. I lived in Thailand for 6 months. We bounced around Southeast Asia, bounced around Europe, lived in Hawaii for a while, lived in Colorado for a ski season, just like 2.5 years of full-time travel while building kind of the foundation of the company and what it is today.
Interesting. Go ahead, Danielle.
That's super, super fascinating. I spent my 20s backpacking through Southeast Asia and Asia in general, just a couple bucks a day. And to this day, that's like my general idea of like financial freedom is being able to just travel, like not luxuriously, but just be able to travel and work abroad. And I think ever since the pandemic, we've all become aware that we actually can do this now, and that it's kind of silly if you're not at least thinking about it or even trying, if you feel that way about, being tied to a location specifically. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. It's so true. And dude, I don't know if you guys feel this, but like in our Western society, we're always, especially in the entrepreneurship, like business, like we're driving hard. It's like a lot of like monetary success is the scoreboard, right? And in the world, especially here in Arizona, certain place you live, it's like, it's the watches, it's the car, it's the houses, it's the things, and you're always chasing that. And it's like, man, like that is one scoreboard that you could keep score with, or it's like being able to travel, up and go, flexibility, lifestyle, time with family, like Lane, like as parents, right? Like time with your kiddos, like how rich are you for being able to create a lifestyle in that regard? It's just an entirely different scoreboard that's not glorified by most people, though it should be. But it's like, it's so interesting. Yeah. Cause you know, chasing all the financial reason, it's like, no, well, we should work to create the life we want. And those things maybe bring happiness, which if they do, that's awesome. But if you can create it in a way to create the flexibility or the travel or the family time, for me, that was the driver. It wasn't about like, at first, it wasn't like, I need to go make $100 million in this company. Yeah. It's like, how do I be able to go live in Thailand or live in Maui on the beach and like create enough money to live a great lifestyle and enjoy my life too.
What's interesting too is like you're so spot on, and that richness is real. Like there's levels of sustained like life support, financial freedom that you need to definitely to support life. But as it relates to like what's your Ferrari, you're so spot on. And it's interesting that it sounds like around 25, 26, you're still trying to find yourself as a man. You're coming out of a highly successful luxury condo real estate. Like that was the path kind of destined for you in a certain way from your family. And now you're kind of in this bifurcated decision-making process of like creating this life you want to live and do the things at the location you want, at the time you want, and all the things. Very similarly, like, dude, my Ferrari is not a Ferrari. It's, can I go spend a few weeks or a month or so at my house in Montana and go spend and play golf in Oregon and then come back to Arizona during the winters? How can I just simply just do that every year on a consistent basis and just enhance that experience? Because like, I don't need like basic stuff. It's just like, I want to spend time with friends and family and watch my daughter gymnastics and golf. And here in a little bit, I'm going to walk out there and go wrestle with her. She's sick right now, which is the most adorable, cuddly bug of all time right now. But like, you're so spot on. So yeah, so you're 26, you're kind of bifurcating, deciding, this move. It sounds like you had a little bit of a sphere of influence that e-com allows you to be a digital nomad and travel and create this. And with your sales skills, with the experience in the luxury condo space, you probably gleaned a lot of information, extracted that to be able to apply it towards this new endeavor, this, fresh start, I guess. Was your first e-commerce dip, was it LiveBearded, which is your company you still have today, or was it something else that you failed at that got you to start LiveBearded?
Yeah. Fortunately, the LiveBearded was the first e-commerce start. And so though it wasn't, so it wasn't, and this is where it's like, I can't take all the credit because I have an amazing business partner who had failed multiple times in e-commerce and had failed multiple times digitally. And I had my own failing in my own way through my own sales background, and marketing experience with the real estate side. So it's like, we took the failures that I had in my background and his failures combined and say, okay, let's not do that. Let's not do that. And so I'm not going to go and say that I had all the answers. And I was like, oh, first at bat, just knocked it out. It wasn't without the failures and also having a business partner who had failed, and we learned from that. So yes, to answer your question, it was the first one, but it came as a result of a lot of learnings prior to. So lucky in a lot of ways, but also it's like, it's so funny. It's like the overnight success. Like you see these stories of like, oh, we crushed it. And it's like, even my real estate, like it'd be easy to be like, oh, I was an intern. I was 20 years old. I started. It's like, yeah, you could say that was like, I started and had success early, but also I had 20 years of being around my parents in the industry, learning and absorbing. So like, I wasn't just green coming out of school and being like, oh, I'm going to give this real estate thing a try. A lot of people see the success and they go, oh, I'm going to give real estate a try because they see you guys crushing it. And they think, oh, I can just go do this. It's like, yeah, you can, but like, how many reps did you guys have until you actually saw success? I had, and maybe not 20 years, but definitely a solid 10 years of exposure from my parents in the industry as like a young enough kid to understand. I had a better baseline knowledge at 20 in real estate than some people do in their 30s because my parents lived it and I lived it, and so that transfers. And it's so easy to think like, oh, overnight success, but it's like, no, man, you got to get your reps in and you got to fail. And even with LiveBearded, it wasn't a straight line. Like we started in 2016. We didn't pay ourselves a single dollar for 18 months, like not a dollar. We reinvested in, we're going to build the foundation. We trust the process. We're confident in what we're building. And fortunately, I was smart with my money and had savings from the real estate days, but like 18 months of not paying yourself a dollar, So it's not like we're just like overnight, like this thing is crushing it. Right. So always good to have a little perspective.
I feel like that's a huge piece of this that a lot of folks have a hard time understanding. And, like I grew up in my family has owned small businesses. My first job, I was like 4 years old, sweeping warehouse floors. And it remained that. And then when I became a partner in that business, I still swept the warehouse floors.
Totally. I love that. whatever it's
and it's funny, like Landon's the first person to go to college in his family. I'm the first person to go to college in my family. We can absolutely relate to that story. And we're all here owning our own businesses and buying more businesses. And that's what's wild, is that we did go through that traditional education process and we still felt like this is a better path forward for us, knowing everything we know. I think that that's so interesting. Like, I really feel like the traditional education thing is turning finally in our country. And it's funny because now, I just had my third baby and I'm like, yeah, we've got 529s for college savings and whatnot, but like, I'm not tripping. I'm kind of like, learn how to run a business and learn how to have choices. When you have choices, you are rich. If you have options, you are super wealthy.
I love that. I love that. It's so true.
Yeah, you touched on something that I want to hit on a little bit here, and this can really transcend to every other business that you have, including LiveBearded. But partnerships are hard. Partnerships are difficult. Finding the right partner for the right fit at the right time for the right thing, and all those aspects. And you mentioned your previous partner, or your partner for LiveBearded, had previous business experience and failures and all the things. I guess for you, what do you look for? As you reflect back, thinking like from a partnership, what makes a good partner in a business relationship?
Yeah, no, I love the question, and it's a complicated answer because it's like the right partner can absolutely make all the difference to help your business be successful, and the wrong one can destroy it. And I think it's easy in the early days to like, especially when you're young and you don't have any experience, be like, like, we're boys, we're going to go into business together, we're going to crush it, have so much fun. And it's like, that can be cool for a little while until shit gets real. And until somebody's not pulling their weight and they're not working, carrying their load, or you start making money and having success, and that opens up other issues and struggles, because when money is on the table and you've got huge transactions going through, it's like people change depending on their standards and values and who they are as human beings. And so I think, to me, at the core baseline, if you're looking for a partner, I would always suggest find somebody who is strong where you're weak. Because the last thing you want in a business partner is to bring the same set of skills as you, because ultimately all they're doing at that point is just giving you more hours, and you can hire hours for an exchange of a salary. You don't need to give equity and go partnership with someone who's bringing the same skills. So, if you're really good with sales and marketing, but you're terrible at organization and ops and stuff, it's like, well, get the ops person to keep you dialed in. If it is somebody who's more introverted, who doesn't want to be the face of the business, and somebody's extroverted to create content and be out front facing networking. It's like, find those complementary parts, because you'll get a lot further through that process than just doubling up on what you're good at. And then really, like, man, relationships, partnerships are like relationships, in my opinion, where it's like, dude, you're financially married to your partner, whether you like it or not. And so when you go into business and you start talking about, equity, and then if things go south, like, it's not as easy as saying, oh, well, you take this and you take that. Like, it can be very disruptive for people's lives and livelihoods, and the impact, the ripples go really far. So I would always advise, test small, test early, test fast. Don't jump into marriage, so to say, with a business partner too early, because it's hard to unfold that, and just be really critical about who you go into business with, and not to scare people off of it, because it's like the right partner can be a massive unlock, but you want to be super intentional, just like you would with a spouse, right? Like, you don't take dating and marriage, casually. Like, maybe dating casually for some, but like, if you're gonna get married, like, the standards are so much higher. Like, it needs to be like that for your business partner, not just somebody you're doing a transaction with, because it's not transactional, it's relational, and it needs to be long-term best interest of your partner at all times.
It's so key. I think Landon and I are existing in a world right now in real estate where partnerships are very casual, and they're partnerships primarily over real property. And so, of course, there's an exit strategy, and you could treat every real asset, and you should treat every real asset as its own business. But the idea of purchasing in partnerships is almost flippant. I feel like people really don't take the time. They just go, oh, cool. Like, you want to do this and at this property in this market? Yeah, let's partner, let's go 50-50. And there's the whole element of borrowing private money, and then where that private money partner sits in those partnerships, and when things go south. And, it's interesting. Like, I was raised to never, ever, ever have a business partner. My family was like, nope, never.
Don't do it.
For good reason, right? Because so many partnerships fail. And it's so hard to anticipate life's twists and turns and how your partner will react to those things. And frankly, how you will, right? If you'll be incapacitated or what's going on in your life. I'm going through a company restructure right now with partners, and it's proving to be way more challenging than I anticipated. And, like Landon, Chris, and I, we're moving towards business buying, and we're trying to talk about like front end a lot of those conversations. And there's just no amount that you can like do before the shit gets real. It's so brutal, you know. You can just hope to get to know people and really get to know them.
Yeah.
And, hope that you guys are of the same vein.
Yeah, totally. It's so true. You can take it one layer deeper and say, I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to like transactional relationships. And as society, we need to go to like true relationships, not this transactional, like, what can I get from you? Or let's put this one deal together. It's like, and that's like, we try to operate like relationally on the e-com side, whether it's a vendor or whether you're working a deal with a broker and other agents. Like, you want to build, do you want one deal and get a quick hit of money? Or do you want to have a relationship with that person for the next 30 years? Right? It's like, what's going to be richer long-term, like in the relationship and in the compound, benefits financially, business-wise. So the whole like swipe to the next thing, swipe to the next deal, swipe to the next date, like that mindset's got to be kind of corrected, and you got to have a long time horizon in business if you want to be successful, like without a doubt.
Oh, it's so true. I mean, we have a deal right now we're negotiating on out in Florida where the seller is, I want to say, 4 months behind on payments right now. So they're heading toward a foreclosure. I think the auction date is set for early April, so about a month away. And we're close. I want to say we're 10 grand in arrears. So meaning we got to bring that to the table to make the loan current. It's like a 3% interest rate. But the deal isn't that sweet. And so meaning our entry fee needs to be lower such that there's no money to the seller. It's just, we'll reinstate the mortgage. We're already bringing 10 grand to like 10 grand that you should be paying. And the hang up is precisely what you're saying you shouldn't do, is the agent's not willing to budge on their commissions to get the deal done for their seller, forcing their seller into a very difficult position such that foreclosure is likely the outcome. And they have a very short-minded mindset. And so they're not thinking macro of like, hey, we could do 20 deals together this year with that agent. We can bring you so much business. I mean, I have one agent I've done like 10 deals with, 8 deals with, and it's just off of exactly that. It's like, they're not thinking about, stepping over the nickel for the dime. They're thinking about the nickel. And agents are struggling right now. And so I get that perception, and the society is saying like 20-second video. So it's very short-sighted thinking, but super interesting, man. Like that short-sighted thinking. But
it is, which if that's your competitor, it's like, okay, maybe you're not mad because you can go clean them up and take all their clients in the future. But ultimately, for the betterment of everyone, it's like, how can we just be more relational and longer term time horizon, not transactional, and like actually try to serve and support? Like, that's the winning formula over any tactic, strategy. Like, when I was selling real estate, it's like, I didn't have any it was just all word of mouth referrals, and I was crushing it and growing year over year and had more client referrals. I had no business savviness, like the structures and the systems, the marketing I know now. If I would have applied that, would have been like exponential. But even with no experience, just based on relations and then getting those referrals, I mean, it's everything. And it's all because of truly building and connecting and trying to add value and just help actually connect with people.
So I feel like you must be a fan of Hormozy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right. And this is a lot of what he teaches, is that you can't sunset a business idea or a plan without committing to it. Like, commit to the one thing and see it through. And literally, success is just not giving up. Like, it will happen. It is actually impossible for it not to happen if you just keep getting up and hitting the same stone over and over and over and over and over. My dad used to say, when we were working together, we owned a business together, this roll-up door on this industrial warehouse, this is a cash register. And every day that I come here and I roll up the door, no matter how badly I don't want to, money comes in. And she's like, the only reason that happens is because I've been doing this and rolling up the cash register for 40 years. He goes, if I pass my phone number to you, you will have business for the next 40 years because you will just need to answer the phone. But it's so easy for us to get dissatisfied or bored or focus on partnership issues or focus on issues of like, you feel like, inequitable issues, or I'm not getting paid enough, I'm working too hard. It's like, I think we have this real problem right now. The grass just feels so much greener, and it just has never been.
Well, the distractions are great. I mean, the lady in the red dress, right? Like, it's like there literally there's never been a precedence in our history where there's this many distractions at your fingertip. And it's like, I want to get into this. And you can make money doing that. You can do, it's like, yes, they all work. All of them work. Which one do you want to commit to? And which one do you want? And it seems cliche when you say it, like, oh, you can't lose if you don't quit. But it's like, yeah, that is actually true. Like, as long as you stay committed and stay focused day after day and put in the work over a long enough time horizon, and as long as you're putting in true work and not just like checking the boxes or floating, but actually executing on things, problem solving. And if you fail or you do something wrong, learn from it, pivot, and then keep going. It seems so cliche and so silly and so simple that it actually works. And it's like everyone's looking for that quick hit. Like, how do I get rich quick overnight? And it's like, sure, there's maybe some outliers, but even the ones that you think are outliers, like they have some backstory, like my real estate experience as a kid, or backstory about failed businesses prior to. Like, it's not as simple as just, I'm going to go pursue this, and then tomorrow, the cash register is open and I'm making money. Like, it's built on a foundation of knowledge and experience and failures over time.
And if that was the case too, like if it was that easy, the market would be saturated with people that want the lack of resistance. They want the easy button. Yeah. And so you'd be in a flooded market full of lack of competition. You like, in a twisted mind, not a twisted mind, but in a reality, is like, you want it to be difficult because it's going to filter out people who don't want to do things that are hard.
And then you get compounded exponentially on the reward over time, because then those skills, to your point, transfer into something else. So you can start by getting into real estate, but then as you're compounding your skills and your mindset, like, your floor is just being elevated year after year, right? And that opens up deals for investment opportunities, into businesses, into partnerships, into things, because of your baseline of knowledge and skills that compounds over time. And that just gets richer, right? Like, both fiscally, but then also like your skills, your partnerships, your lifestyle, like all that just elevates.
So then, you go, okay, this is a perfect segue, because you have a heavy real estate background, and then you switch to digital nomad, you're traveling the world, seeing all the cool things. And then you start an e-commerce business in 2016. And how many years did that get going, or did that go until you began Reset, which is your next endeavor? And we can dive into that, because that kind of has a blend of sales, business, and real estate in its own little world.
Yeah, totally. So the e-commerce thing is interesting. Went from selling real estate, just all commission chasing, cash flow, right? So eat what you kill, land a deal, get a big paycheck. Amazing cash flow business, but it was really just, I had a job, right? I was the way I had my structure, I was chasing commissions, and every month, every day I'd wake up and be like, I got to go find the next deal. Like, that deal was sweet yesterday, but like, if I don't go hunt, like, I'm not eating tomorrow. And so I loved that chase for a while, but then ultimately wanted to build a machine. And so that led to the e-commerce. The problem with the e-commerce side is it's almost the inverse, where so much of your capital is required to purchase inventory and the foundation of the machine to plan and pay for inventory for future growth. So I'm sitting on inventory on my shelves that I have to order ahead of time, put cash out ahead of time, especially in the early days, because I didn't have terms, pay for inventory, pay for shipping, get it here, and I haven't even sold it yet. I'm out all this money. So even generating revenue and generating profit on the e-commerce side, huge discrepancy between profitability and cash flow. And so you can have crazy profitability and not pay yourself anything, because you have to reinvest based on your 13-week rolling cash flow of upcoming sales to have enough inventory to actually support the sales that you're predicting. And you're just turning over that cash and you're reinvesting it in because you have to grow. And so you could, of course, slow down growth to pull more cash out, but we're not trying to do that. You're trying to build a big machine. So you're reinvesting cash in. So long way of saying the e-commerce growth rate went, we essentially, we grew 35% year over year for the first 5 or 6 years. It kind of started to slow down a little bit. We knocked over 8 figures a couple of years ago. And at that tipping point, we were able to start pulling more cash out, but it still wasn't like what you would think based on the top line and bottom line revenues, because of the inventory and trying to reinvest into people and all the things. And so I had this background of commissions where lifestyle is super rich because you're getting these big checks every month. And I have this now machine that's like the super valuable, exitable business, but I'm not able to pull the cash out. And so from a cash flow perspective, it was like less than what I was doing in real estate, So it's like, okay, this is interesting. How do I now solve personally from a cash flow perspective for lifestyle to complement the machine that I'm building for the long-term exit for like wealth creation? So that led me into trying to find some sort of investment vehicle that was just a cash on cash return, monthly drip kind of side, as quote passive as you can. There's no true passive income really, but like like as passive and leverage as I could get. And so that led to 2020, COVID happened. Obviously all service, all retail just shut down. A lot of businesses, super sad to see them not be able to succeed and get through it. My buddy came in, he's actually an employee of mine for LiveBearded. He came in the office one day and he looked like his kid got hit by a car. I was like, what the hell happened? Are you okay? And he's like, bro, he's like, the yoga studio shut down. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, the yoga studio shut down. Like this is his home. This is like where he went for his workout and his community people. So anyways, we dug into it, and long story long, we saw it as an opportunity to be able to then go buy it from the owner. She'd been in business 8 years, tons of Google reviews, raving, customer, student base, like great business, great reputation. She was just kind of over it and was gonna close the doors. And I said, well, let's try to buy this business. It's super healthy. It's got 8 years history. The P&Ls are strong, profits there. And so we went in negotiation with her, went back and forth, ended up buying the business from her in 2020, stayed closed, renegotiated the lease, got a little more favorable terms there, brought in a strategic operating partner who was a manager so that we don't have to worry about running it. She got equity in the deal. It was a great deal for everybody. Opened the doors back up in August and we were profitable month one, and it's been kicking out 250% returns year over year since then. I mean, it's just crushing and just like dripping money to us. And that was an unlock. I was like, how do I, this is solving for a service-based cash flow business that is so simple in contrast to what we're building with LiveBearded and the e-commerce side. The moving pieces are not, it's a lease, it's a basic marketing, it's a really great service, great people. So that's tough, but the business mechanics are pretty simple and you don't have overhead. So if you make 25, 30 grand profit in a month, you don't have to go reinvest in inventory. You can just distribute that, right? Because it's just, you're not reinvesting into that future because it's pretty, the expenses are pretty set. And so that had this experiential, I was ignorant to it. I hadn't really experienced that before. And I just it just happened and went through the process. And I was like, this is where it's at to complement what I have. And so that led me down the rabbit hole. How do I find other service-based businesses I can get into, low overhead, low moving pieces, local brick and mortar, less competitive marketing, given the digital marketing background and experience and content creation. And then, so that led to investing into a couple F45s with a good buddy of mine, operator. So we had a couple F45s that we were doing. And then the reset concept was the result of all of that because we wanted to own our own concept that was a little bit more scalable. And so the recovery space is obviously booming. Last few years, we started a concept called Reset Mind and Body, service-based recovery center. We have compression therapy, infrared saunas, cold plunge, hot tub, and red light therapy. So it's a 60 to 90 minute session, go through, feels like you're getting a workout, a massage, a yoga session all in one. You feel relaxed and reset. It's amazing. So started that first one in 2022 and stumbled our way through that one and found fine-tuned the model. And since then we've opened, I guess we just opened our 8th location last week. So we've got eight locations open between here in the Valley in Colorado. We've got the 9th one under construction, and we're just opening doors and cranking.
Congratulations. That's a huge freaking win.
Yeah. So it's been a long answer, but that's solving for, that's the journey.
And I think that this is so incredibly relevant to even what Land and I are facing right now. Sorry, my little girl is going for it. I love it. My question for you is really about operators. How do you find your operators?
I was going to ask the same question. Perfect.
Dude, it's so spot on. And it's so important. No, you're good. We love it. I'm going to go get Dax and let him come in here and make some. It's such a good question, and it's such an easy thing to overlook. And it's truly the yoga studio, for example, the numbers made sense all day long, right? The financials, all of that, the marketing, the mechanics of the business made sense all day long, but it doesn't work without an operator. And if you're looking to just go own and operate a yoga studio, I could have bought it and operated it and sat there, but as entrepreneurs in business, that's not our goal. We don't want one. And if that's what you want, amazing, go do that and have an amazing lifestyle. For me, it's I want to be able to have one of many as leverage as I can. That's not going to be a distraction where I've got to have even 1 hour a week. I want it to be quarterly meetings at most, where it's leverage and you trust the people. And so finding the right operator is absolutely the only way to do it. And so I think you got to find someone who trust first and foremost. So in that situation, we essentially partner with a previous studio manager who understood the business, been there for the full 8 years, had a relationship with all the teachers, knew the ins and outs of the business, was essentially running the business without owning and running the business, right? And she had always dreamed of having a studio herself, but either going into business, like it's not for everyone. I mean, it's a risk. You got like, everyone wants to say they want to do it until it comes down to like putting the cash out and putting the time and taking the, and so she loved the idea of it, but maybe wouldn't have done it otherwise. And so we got to bring the confidence of managing the deal, negotiating all the financials, doing all the things she doesn't want to do. And she can just run the amazing studio and take care of all of our people. And she's world-class at it. And so we had her bring equity, bring money to the table. So she has skin in the game. So it's not just like oh, you can invest and earn out some equity based on performance. We want you to actually take a little risk with us and be on this journey together as partners. And so we essentially had her come in with equity as an owner. So now she's running as an owner operator, and she gets to bring her skills to complement our skills, which are complementary, very complementary and different. And so I say that to say, like, I fully believe in finding the right people that you trust and build a relationship. They have to have competence. They have to know what they're doing and have some experience, but have them bring equity or some sort of skin in the game, and then take care of them. Like, treat them like owners and partners. Again, going back to that transactional versus relational. If you want just a manager operator and pay him 60 grand a year to just sit and manage, that's fine. But if you want someone to take ownership and actually be there 20 years from now running this thing for you, we'll give them some equity, make them earn it, have them invest, like, be smart about it, right? But like, really take care of them and give them opportunity to earn some upside. Because again, to me, it's more about relationships and long-term equitable deals than just like, who can I get in there to manage? So that's kind of a long approach. And so we do something similar at Reset too, is like we have managing partners where it's like, they don't have full equity, but we do profit share there. So it's like, in that scenario, it's like, hey, let's pay them well, but let's bonus and comp them out and give them some profit share. So if like you hit these numbers and stuff, you're going to make a lot of money, and like help them take ownership in driving these just the key KPIs for the business.
So are you at a point with Reset, just curious from the franchisee stand model and where you're at? You may not be. I don't know what the numbers look like, but you know, you're going to be at 9 here shortly. I guess at what point do you have a franchisee almost like manager managing all of the franchisee owners? It's probably you guys right now, because you guys own the majority of them. But at some point, there's going to likely be someone in that role that's managing those, measuring the KPIs, making sure everything's, you know, all those kind of things. Yeah. So with Reset, we're taking definitely the long-term play. So we're not as concerned at like pulling out as much cash as possible from the cash flow, like lifestyle perspective. So the goal is 600 units across the country. So it's a big goal. And we know that in order to do that, like, we have to go really rip these franchise sales. And in order to do that, we need the great foundational ops of like all the onboarding, all the SOPs, all the like everything dialed in. So we kind of invested early a lot of the profits from our individual studios into salaries at our HQ level for director of ops. We've got people on the back end to support the team already. So we have kind of a mini team of maybe just 5 or 6 people probably that directly support, and we're involved too, obviously. But yeah, we're intentionally on the early stages trying to invest into the foundation and the team to support. And again, that's where like business is so fascinating, because depending on what you want to optimize for, you want to have one service-based business, like a studio, like a yoga studio, and just like drip cash flow. It's like, we'll just like do what's working now and just do a little more of that and just get it really efficient. And you don't have to, it's quarterly meetings. There's not a lot of thought or like management to it, and it just drips cash flow. But if you want to build a big machine, well, then it's like, invest in the people, invest in the foundation, build the team, hire early, get support, because that's just going to help you compound, obviously, that growth and accelerate it a little bit.
Do you feel like with your operators, and maybe this is an old school way of thinking, it totally could be, I admit that you felt like you had to learn how to run the business yourself first so that you could hire the right person? Because we talked a little bit about relational versus transactional. And I think that's my worry, you know, and it's like total vulnerability, insecurity in the back of my head. Like, I know what I need to do, and I know what I need to let go of. But at the same point in time, I don't want to operate whatever it is forever. And then learning how to let go, learning how to find the right person, and that gap of time. And also, I'm always going, okay, operator could quit, die, become diseased. So planning a built-in succession plan to that. I'm kind of curious how you've worked through some of those things.
Yeah, it's a really great question. Honestly, I think the worst number in business is 1. So the last thing you want to do is have an operator who has all the control and who can gatekeep from like knowing how to do anything. And if that person, we always say, like, if I were to die or get fired or get hit by a bus today, like, you should be able to know how to do my role. So a lot of that can be combated with like documentation and process, right? Standard SOP, especially today, even with ChatGPT, like you can prompt it to like explain the SOP on how to do it, and it'll prompt and document at least a baseline knowledge of how to do something. So I'm not a big process guy, but I think it's like essential to be able to have the foundational knowledge of how to do a role, so you're never relying on any one person. But to answer your question specifically, like there's roles that I have no clue how to do. So I don't know that you have to know the ins and outs of how to do everything, so long as you have some sort of stopgap or somebody else who does, so that you're not putting all of your confidence, all your eggs in one basket with one person to be the only one that has the tribal knowledge of how to do the thing. Because then you're relying on that person. They have all the leverage. And it's like, if they go, the business goes. And it's like, well, that's a shitty place to be in. But if you can have a number two who knows how to do it, or it's documented so you at least understand that you know how to learn how to do it, and I think that kind of hedges the bets. And then I struggle with this too. I mean, it's like, as I'm even talking, you will be a bottleneck if you have to know how to do everything. Like, you can't know how to do everything. And it's a really hard thing as an entrepreneur to understand and like let go of the control a little bit of like, the only way you really go far fast is to bring people with you. And if you're the bottleneck who has to oversee everything and approve everything and know how to do everything, like, you're going to be limited to your hours. And as parents and people who want to spend time with there's not enough time in the day to do all the things yourself. You know, and if that's what you want to do, then it's like maybe the solopreneur route is for you, and you can just have your little solopreneur bubble and you manage the business and you can still have a great lifestyle, make good income. But if you want to build a company and actually scale something, then yeah, you're gonna have to rely on other people and not be the bottleneck for all those things.
No, it's so spot on, man. That was me I would say it's starting to change about a year ago with my Airbnb business and all those properties, to where, because I started out the way that I did, being that we lived in the main house, Airbnb, the guest house, I had to learn how to do everything. And I remember, dude, look, this is hilarious. This is the start right here. I was working like this in my office, doing my thing. And then in my, we would have 11 a.m. checkout for the guests in the guest house. And I would watch them out the window right here, go leave, right? And I had my little tote, and I used to go out there every single checkout and clean it myself, because I didn't want to pay a cleaner to clean it. I don't even think I ever told you that, Daniela.
Yeah.
Like, hundreds of times I've cleaned that Airbnb. I know every detail, every bulb size, like every detail. And slowly it started to unfold where I started to delegate. And I mean, over even more so to the point now where like the majority of, I would say 97% of that business, I have either automated or delegated out of those things, because it's just, there's no ROI on me spending countless hours in there versus focusing on other aspects of various other businesses. So it's such a great mindset lesson. You got to learn through it sometimes too.
Yeah,
like,
you have to learn through it. And trust me, my first several years, I'm still learning how to like let go of some of that stuff, because as an entrepreneur, like, I'll be the guy that'll just be like, pile it on, just give me more work. I'll work later. I'll get up early or whatever. Like, I will do it, and I'll do it better. So like, might as well just get it done. And that there's beauty in that to a certain degree, but then there's like a certain point where like, dude, you're just being stubborn. You're being like, don't control it, like let go. And even if they get it done at 80% or 70% of what you could do, but you bought back all that time to then go add way more value at a much better rate over here, it's like that's worth the exchange, right? That only works if you're actually applying that time to something valuable. If you're just like watching Netflix and chilling, like maybe that's worth it for you, but
audit, transfer, fill, right, Daniela?
Yeah, I just heard some Martell right there. Yeah. And honestly, like, this has been, it's such a process. And I think that's the problem with all of us. The biggest character flaw is I'll do it. I'll do it. No. I got it. Like, that is literally the biggest character flaw. And I remember, Landon, like when Caitlin came on with CC Collective, I literally had to force myself to loom. I was like, I'd be working through something with her, and I'd be like, I have to loom this. Like, stop. I have to loom this and send it. And now I have loom videos made for her that the rest of the team watches, because I'm like, I'm not doing it again.
Totally. Yeah. It's great though, right? You're like, all right, don't have to do that.
Now it's great. Yeah. You know, and now when I understand that that's not really that hard, it's even better. It's such a mental block and barrier to get through. Letting go is not that hard. Trusting somebody else is not that hard. Understanding that they're not going to be perfect and that they're not you is instrumental. And figuring out how to work that into your life. I mean, I think we all relate to one another so much in the desire to be with our kids. And also, because we're entrepreneurs and we have so much on our plate, it's actually really easy to put so much on your plate that you're snapping at your kids, because you're overworked, you're tired, you're on a deadline, you have so many other people to serve around you. You have to prepare the work to flow the work down to other people, until you start to get into a rhythm and understand that like no one's going to die here. Like no one is going to die if you just take a freaking beat, you know?
So much of it's habitual, right? We just get so sucked into like, this is how we've been doing it. This is what I'm doing. So it's like, well, stop for a second, reflect. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, what am I trying to accomplish? And is there a better way to do this? Like, yes, but you get so sucked into just the habits that we're creatures of habit. I mean, it's what we do. And so you have to do self-reflection and audit that's to like, there's a better way. Let me figure out what it is.
I mean, I go back to this all the time. I think about how I just reflect back. I close my eyes and think back to who I was as Landon, as the entity, the cells of Landon 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and just thinking about how cool entrepreneurship is as just the greatest personal development tool in terms of a lot of mindset stuff. And I know you're a testament to that too, but just, it's so cool to think about who I've become in this person in terms of my personal development, regardless of the nickels and dimes and all of those aspects of things. But it's so fascinating to look at those things and who you used to be and what decisions you used to make, the choices, the habits, the vices, all the little aspects of things. And one thing that hit you mentioned a minute ago that was really cool, and just thinking through your life is like, you know, Arizona State, you had this banging job that was in real estate and all the things, making great money, you know, and in the season of your life, you became a digital nomad and kind of traveled the world, you know, entrepreneurially. At what point did you meet Amanda, your beautiful wife?
Yeah, 2018, just moved back. So we were kind of roaming around, living in Colorado at the last stop, moved back to Phoenix. We're basically, the company had grown to a point where like, we're digital, customer service is remote. We've got teams kind of scattered across the country. What would happen if we actually opened up an HQ and had an office? And so we toured a bunch of like states with no state income tax. We were in Tennessee, we were in Nashville, we were in Florida, we were in Texas, Austin. We were all over the place. And ultimately, like my family's here. I want to be back in Arizona. I knew a bunch of people. So we landed back here. And within like 2 months or a month of being back, I met Amanda and went on a coffee date, went on a hike, went to dinner and just like hit it off right away. So we started dating in 2018, and fast forward today. Yeah, I guess it's been coming up on 7 years. Holy cow, 7 years.
What's
cool
about that, like you go through those seasons of life, like your digital nomad experience, the real estate, the college, all the things. And now you've trained. What's cool is you've shifted your business acquisitions, your entrepreneurship to be more of a home base here locally. You're not digital nomad anymore, and you've shifted that and taken your skill sets from back there and brought them along with you to thrive and have successful businesses. So I guess for you, you know, kind of where you're at right now, what does the rest of 2025, 26, 27, where do you take off and where do you keep going from there? I know you're taking Reset to the next level and going to continue to build that brand, probably LiveBearded as well too. What does it look like?
Yeah, it's, you know, we try to be as intentional with future planning as we can be. And, you know, Mike Tyson's quote of, you know, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. Like ideally try to your point about building the foundational mindset and the skills, like I want to be prepared for whatever comes forward and obviously have a plan that we're shooting for, but just be prepared to dominate whatever comes ahead. And that comes through discipline and just like that mindset and the daily actions and I think inputs. So, but we do like to dream of like what is upcoming and like in an ideal world, if we can control it, this is what's coming. And for us, it's more of the same. I think it's doubling down and investing into LiveBearded. We've got an amazing team, we've got an amazing company, we've got an amazing brand, loyal customers. So we're right in the thick of an opportunity to continue to grow and scale that. And we want to do an ESOP, so an employee stock option plan, sell it to our employees, let them have equity and like make millionaires of a lot of our team members. So that's on the horizon. We've got some very clear goals to make that happen in the next couple of years. So that's going to be kind of build with the team to hopefully hand it off to the team to continue to grow and scale it to the next level. With Reset, it's very simple. We're going to perfect the operations, get really, really dialed in on just studio operations so that we can scale franchises. We're going to open 3 more this year and then really go hammer franchise sales next year and just continue growing that. And the biggest thing that I'm trying to prioritize is just, I think as a new father, I've got a 13-month-old boy, Dax, I got second on the way. Landon, you touched on it earlier, like you want to, like success to you is being able to spend summers at your place in Montana and go golfing and not feel guilty about like being out for the day and be able to go, you know, wrestle with your daughter and hang with your boy. And like that to me is for sure like what I'm going to optimize and prioritize most in my life. I definitely am head down in the building stage right now. I feel like, you know, my son's 13 months old. I've spent every night with him very intentionally. I'm like intentional about the time I spend with them, weekends to the point like we're not traveling. It's like family time. But I feel like I've got the next 3 or 4 years to jam really, really hard. And then ideally I'm out fully of like any operational role within the companies. And it's more investment opportunities, like we've been talking about, into Airbnbs, into businesses with a good operational team that I can kind of sit on the board and then just manage strategy and direction, but have operators that I trust and build long-term equitable partnerships with, so they can drive all the weeds and I can kind of sit above to really just prioritize time with the family. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's like I want to generate generational wealth, but I also don't need to generate money to pass down to my kids, because I'm going to pass down the skill set and the mindset for them to go build themselves. And so I want enough money to be able to create amazing opportunities for our family and to give back and to serve and to contribute to people in need. But I don't want to exchange my time for money forever. So I feel like I've got a couple of years to really build that next level of wealth and set myself up. And so we're charging for that. We're building a place in Prescott right now. So we're going to try to get a place we can escape the heat and go spend summers up there with family and get out and play golf and enjoy the weather, get out of the Phoenix heat and just prioritize a lot of that stuff. So that's kind of the next chapter for us.
It is a constant battle, like you said, like the battle of wanting to grind more, because I'm the get shit done mentality person, like on all those aspects. And I get caught. My wife will catch me just in go mode of waking up right here, boom, going, building, grinding, and being here until after, she's like, hey, you haven't even said hi to your kids yet. It's like, so I get checked all the time and just trying to find that balance, because instinctually, all of us are doing it for them. Totally. It's just trying to find that integrated balance of those things. What were you going to say, Daniela? Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. It's really awesome to hear your plans for the next couple of years. And it's funny because I'm a little bit ahead of you guys with ages with kids. I've got a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and an 8-month-old. And it's interesting. Like now my 6-year-old, I'm going to school tomorrow to volunteer, and like he's got his Chinese New Year parade on Friday, and we're building like a part of a dragon. And like there are things that he needs me to be present for. That this is why I'm working so hard right now to have the flexibility to be present for these things. I mean, ski week, spring break, you guys are like summer break, holidays. It's just the kids need time.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard to create the space to give to them, but also to build something that you can continue to get the drip money and survive and live comfortably and do all the things. So it's really inspiring to sort of hear that plan for you, and also to be able to watch it and learn from you as well. Thank you for sharing all your stuff with us.
Man, I don't know if this is helpful, and I'm obviously, you have more data experience than I do, but given the amount of things that I juggle in business and with my family, one of the things that I've created that's like been a game changer, and anyone watching this or listening to us kids can hopefully use this, is I believe like truly like the idea of like balancing your time. I think ultimately it's impossible for things to be balanced, right? Like I'm going to work more than I'm going to spend with my family in this chapter of my life. But the amount of time you do have can be so drastically influenced by your intention and how present you are with that time. So like I may only have 2 hours with Amanda and Dax on a daily basis, but when I walk in the door from work at 6-ish, 6:30 till we put Dax down, like you can't reach me. And I'm not going to answer my phone. I'm not going to be scrolling social media. I'm not going to be checking emails. Like the business could be burning down and I'm likely not going to know about it because I'm like 100% present with them. And the amount of time, Danielle, to your point, like they want the time. And if you make them the only priority in that window of time, even if it's 20 minutes or 2 hours, the feeling that you can give to your partner or to your kids can be exponentially deeper and more impactful because of your intention and the quality of that time. And so for entrepreneurs, it's like, yeah, how am I going to do? You can't, like, how can I do it all? And it's like, well, you can't spread the time evenly, but the intention you put into the time can be like a lever you pull to just make deeper connections and like make them feel seen, loved, heard, all those things, right? What you want to do, because all of us want to give that, but it's like, yeah, we can drive a business. It's like easy to get pulled. So just the intentionality you put, I think is been a game changer for me. So whether that's helpful or not, it's definitely helped me.
Oh, I know. I'm fired up right now. I wish I had that gym right behind me right now. No, it's so, dude, it's so true, man. Like that is, I mean, we could go on and on about just, I mean, I primarily work remotely right here in my office. Those doors are shut. There's the fog glass and everything. So I'm pretty isolated back here, but right outside of those doors is a full family and a life that didn't ask for me to do what I'm doing, you know? And so there's levels of that. And so I have to be hyper intentional when I walk out those doors that I'm not bringing the baggage that could be from right here of something, right? And all the things.
Yeah.
Holy cow. It's so hard because before, right, you drive to work, you have your little commute, you listen to your Morgan Wallen or whatever you're listening to. Danielle listens to like JoJo and like Britney Spears and stuff, but like you drive and then so you have the baggage and then you drive home because you have a 30-minute drive home to like decompress.
Yeah, totally.
Or stop by a reset and do a loop and reset. And but then you come home and you get to come with like a little bit of a refresh main. Like there's none of that here. Like my brake is that doorknob, you know? So like they're figuring out that balance of those things is difficult. It takes skill undoubtedly.
Yeah. But even bringing awareness to it helps like keep it forefront to like check yourself a little bit and be like, okay, I can be a little better here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's as long I feel like as the intention and the passion to do so is there, you know, they get older. The questions I'm answering right now, y'all. Oh my God. Sometimes I'm so tired. I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know why this is not happening on Mars or why there's volcanoes at the bottom of the ocean. Like, I know there's a reason I know, but I like one thing at a time here. And then it's like Star Wars, or where's my Lego set? Or where did the lightsaber go? Or what? And it's awesome, you know, and in a couple of years from now, all three of them are going to go, we want to go do this. And I want to make sure I have the time and the personal, like mental space to go, hell yeah, let's go do that. Totally. You know, like that's why we're all here, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Well, cool, Spencer. Thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate you taking an hour out of your day to just chat and hopefully inspire some other entrepreneurs and investors. I know you fired me up today, and to learn from you and your experiences. I appreciate just being in your presence and just learning from you and the businesses that you've built and that you're building and the way you're doing it and how you're going about it and how you carry yourself as not only a friend, also a father, as a husband, and all the things that you do, man. Thank you. And I appreciate it.
Right back at you, bro. Appreciate you, Danielle. Great connect. Thank you guys for the conversation. Appreciate you both.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, see ya.